y'all, it's Heather, and I am so excited because Natasha Denona dropped 2 new palettes, and they are in a new format with 18 pans. I bought both of them the second I could. I'm so excited about it. I want to get this video up to y'all as quickly as possible because I know a lot of y'all are really hyped for these palettes too. So we are going to be doing swatches. We are going to do looks. I'm going to try these on the eyes because we do have a new formula. Then we will do comparisons, and I'm kind of let you know my thoughts at the end of the video. These are the Sculpt texture and tone palettes, and they come in 2 versions. We have soft and we have dramatic. They come in this really beautiful packaging that Natasha Denona is pretty known for. And again, on the back, just like with all or most of her palettes, I should say, most of her newer ones especially, we do have these little pinholes in the back, or you can use a magnetic tool and you can pop the shades out, mix and match them with your other palettes. We of course have the nice big mirror that does stand. I really like that. I really appreciate that. I love when a palette has a nice mirror. Natasha Denona says that these palettes were building off of the success and the love and the concept of the mini Sculpt palette. This is kind of a basic, boring, if you will, neutral mini palette, but it's so nice, and I've used this so much as a companion palette, specifically the cream and the black, just to add with other looks. With these palettes, they're based on undertones and overtones, and she does have an insert in the palette that kind of explains that. So if you get the palette, you'll get this little card, but each column is peach, which is warm shades. So if they're marked with a P, they're warm. Yellow, Y for golden. We have R, rosy for pink, P, peach for warm, and NC for neutral, cool. I like that. I think that's a fun concept. Each palette is going to have shades for different skin tones. So Natasha Denona's site says that the dramatic palette was specifically created with deeper skin tones in mind. We love that. We do have a lot of matte formulas in both palettes. We have the new Silky Matte, the Slip Cream Matte, and metallic finishes in these palettes. These palettes are pricey. They are $82 each. Again, I did buy both of these. I ordered mine from Sephora, but they are available at other retailers now, Ulta, Natasha Denona's site, and I do have an affiliated discount code at the Natasha Denona site. I will make sure and put the link in the description box for you. These were made in Italy, and this is a new size for Natasha Denona. So I wanted to show you this compared to her midi format, just so that you can see, even though it has more shades, it's smaller in packaging. So it's maybe just a smidge longer, if you can see, just a tiny, tiny bit, but it's shorter because there's not so much space in between the shades. And of course we are going to do looks, but I also wanted to point out that Natasha Denona says if you want to stick with the undertones, overtones, if you just want to have a simple look, just go down in the columns because you have all your rosy tones together, all your peachy tones together. So it's laid out like that in a very simple way. If you want to do something more, you can go in horizontal rows. I really appreciate when brands put thought into their palette layout because it can be difficult to create looks if you're not feeling like super inspired or you don't know what to do. And I think it's just so nice that she laid it out that way. And then of course, I'm here to help you too, because I'm gonna do something kind of jumping all over the palette so I can give you some extra inspiration if you're shopping your stash to dupe the vibes, or if you're picking up both palettes, or you're thinking about just one of them. I wanna be as helpful to you as possible. One more thing I wanna point out about the packaging before we get into the looks is that I really appreciate that even though these kind of look the same from right here, if you turn them on their side, they're different colors. So you have the dramatic in the darker color and you have the soft in the lighter. So you still know what you're reaching for. Because when I first pulled these out of the box, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to open these every time to know what palette, but no, it's color coordinated on the side. I am going to grab an eyeshadow primer and we are gonna play with these shadows. I just wanna see, is this the great quality that I expect from Natasha Denona? Are these new formulas going to deliver? Are they up to that high standard? I love Natasha Denona. I buy and review all of her stuff. So if you love Natasha Denona, I will link my playlist with all of her stuff down below in the description box too. But let me grab a primer and zoom you in nice and close. We'll play and then we'll do comparisons. Personally, I am most excited for the dramatic palette because I love drama, I love contrast, but the soft palette also offers some contrast. Of course, we do have a lot more light shades, but we still have enough to create some depth, and we have some metallic finishes. I want to do this, and we'll save the dramatic for the other eye. I'm going to do an eye look here. I'm going to do an eye look here. We will say this eye is going to be our soft eye. We're doing soft, so I'm going to prime my eyes with my Melt eyeshadow base. I always use an eyeshadow base. This is the shade Vanilla. It's brighter than my skin tone. I have deep set eyes. I have oily lids. I always use an eyeshadow primer. It's a must, no matter the brand. We're going to start with the shade W1, and this is a cream matte formula. So this is not her cream to powder formula that she had before, that she doesn't really do anymore, that I loved because it was such a great like layering shadow. I'm not gonna cry about it, but we're gonna use this one. So I'm gonna make sure there's no creases in my primer, and we're going to kind of follow what the palette vibe is. We're gonna do a soft look and we're gonna do a dramatic look. And so I'm just going to pop that shade all in my socket, above, below, blending it up and around and out like this. Again, I'm keeping it soft, but I do prefer like contrast in my looks, so it's still gonna have some depth and dimension, even though we're working with the softer shades. It's still gonna be soft, trust me. And this shade is described as a medium warm nude. It is pretty easy to see how easily these shades are blending. I mean, I'm not having to work at them. I'm also gonna take this down to my outer corner. I'm just gonna press it on and then lightly blend, picking up a little bit more on my brush, and I'm going to wrap this under my lower lash line. And yes, I am going out with these two eye looks after this. I have plans. I'm actually meeting my best friend since we were middle school, high school. So she will not care that I have one soft eye and one dramatic eye. I want to see how these shadows layer and play together. Like, do they mesh well? Do they blend well? So we're going to go into the shade Y2. I've got this on my Rephr brush, and I'm just going to kind of go over and kind of redefine right there in my socket. Kind of buff. I'm bringing this shade pretty far in because this is a Sculpt palette. I wanted to kind of like sculpt out my eyes. I was gonna say I kind of wanted to really sculpt it out, so I kind of, or I really, you know, I want to just see, and that looks great. That's pretty. Okay, those are layering well. I'm not having any like patchiness or lifting or anything like that, which makes me so happy. So I've used a shade from Warm. I've used a shade from Yellow. Now, what shall we do next? I'm just gonna add a little bit more of that Y shade and blend down a little bit more too. Let's go into C1. This is a metallic, icy, like pearl type of color. So we'll go in with this shade and we'll add a little bit of coolness to our look. Now, I love warm tones. I do have an olive undertone. I like to let you know that just so that when I swatch the palette and I'm using it, you know that it's gonna show up different on different undertones and skin tones, of course. And I do have an olive undertone, and I would say it's warm leaning. I love warmer sided shadows. I love olive shadows, but we are going to play with the cool tones. I'm glad there's no gray though. We may have some cool neutrals, but we don't have any just like straight up gray, and that makes me happy. So I'm going to go in with C1. I'm going to pick up that shade on my brush, and actually let's see if we can apply a little bit with our finger first. I don't love to apply makeup with my fingers. I just love using brushes, but I know that it can be really nice to apply your shimmers with your fingers and get that intensity. So that's pretty, but I am gonna go with the brush, and I am gonna spray my brush. Spraying my brush isn't necessary, but it does help minimize fallout, and that is what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm just gonna spray my brush now that it has the shadow on it with a little bit of setting spray, preferably one that has glycerin. I'm just going over top of where I put that shadow down with my finger, kind of right there on the lid, and then I'm going up above my lid, kind of taking it right there to the socket, because I really like shimmer shadows, and when my eyes are open, I want you to still be able to see the shadow kind of up here. And that's a nice shade. It's a soft shimmer shade. It's very pretty and fine. I have seen people online saying like, oh, obviously these are for makeup artists, and I don't agree with that. I think these would be perfect for a makeup artist, and I'm sure makeup artists will love these because you get the range of tones. I mean, Natasha Denona is a makeup artist brand. She is a makeup artist herself, but this is sold at Sephora, Ulta, where everyday consumers shop. So I wouldn't say like, oh, this is just for makeup artists. I say this is for whoever wants it. And I really like working with different shades, different undertones, different formulas. So it's always a no-brainer for me with Natasha palettes. I got a little carried away with that shimmer, and I kind of buffed it over our matte outer corner. So I'm just going back and adding a little bit of shadow on top, but I'm going into W2 instead of W1 this time, just to give us a soft but deeper outer corner. And I do really think that is beautiful. Okay, I think that's looking great. So I'm gonna grab my brush again and just go over, make sure everything is blended enough for me. Our lid shade is a metallic formula, so that is what we have right there. I want to use N2 because this is described as a metallic satin, and I love a satin shadow. I think it can be so flattering on my wrinkly, crinkly eyes, and I think they're just so beautiful and such an underrated formula. So I'm curious what Natasha Denona has with a metallic satin formula. So that's this shade right here, N2, and this is in the neutral cool column. I am using another brush from my Sigma favorite set to blend this shadow. I want this on my lower lash line, but I'm using this brush that's a little chunky while still being slim. I don't know if that's an oxymoron. Well, I do know, but it makes sense in my mind. And I'm just putting that on the lower lash line. And it's so hard for me to talk and put shadow on my lower lash line. I always end up poking myself in the eye, and then my eye's red, and you know. I want you to see though. I want you to see how this shadow performs. And that is really pretty. It's giving me definition, but diffused. I like that. I love a good satin. So let's do a little like hand swatch too. I know you saw the swatches earlier, but I'll put that there. So that is the metallic satin versus the full metallic. So you see it definitely has less shine, and it has more of a sheen. Shine, sheen. I'm into it. I think satin shadows are so underrated. Oh, that's really, really pretty. I want to use a shade as like a liner. So I'm going to go into N3. This is one of those cream mattes, and I'm going to use this as liner for my upper lash line. And I am not going to talk while I do this. I'm just going to take a brush and kind of smudge out the outer corner of my upper lash line to give myself some definition. That shadow went on as liner really well. Really pigmented, really easy to use, really pretty. I'm into it. But I want to go in now and do an inner corner brightening shade. I'm going to use a matte. I'm really looking forward to next time I use this palette. I definitely have to go into N1 like this. Oh, this shadow is so beautiful, and I really want to use it, but we're keeping it more soft today. So I am going to go into Y1, this yellow matte shade. I'm just going to use another brush from my favorite set, and I'm going to kind of press that shade right there on the inner corner, and then I'll kind of diffuse the edges just to give myself that bit of brightening. So this shade feels very thin. Like very thin in texture, does feel quite silky, but you see how pigmented it is. If I go on again, we do get more pigment. So I want to see if I can build it even more. There we go. Like you see, and that's going to be a little bit more drama than if I had just left it as is the first time, but I added that little bit more. It's just a little bit brighter. So cute. I'm gonna put on black on my lower waterline, black liner. I'm gonna wait and do mascara when I'm done with both eyes, but it's bugging me not to have liner on my waterline with that dark shadow. So I'm just putting that right there. I think this is a very soft but pretty eye look. I definitely still have the contrast going on, which I like, but we are gonna move over to the other eye and we are gonna go into the dramatic palette. So here was our soft palette. Here's my look with it. I'm of course gonna be creating more and more and following up in future video, all of that, but we're gonna play with the dramatic palette, specifically created with deep skin tones in mind. We do have more metallic shadows in this palette, and I love drama. I feel like this is gonna be such a popular palette. So let me throw on my Melt eyeshadow base. I'm gonna start off with this shade right down here. This is W3, so this is a warm shade. This is described as a matte, warm, dark brown. So I'm just gonna pop that in my socket. We're gonna kind of do the same placement of shadows that we did over here so that we can see like the contrast in the dramatic and the soft, but keep the shape the same. So I'm just buffing and blending, and so far it's looking great. Now there is a black in both palettes, but I really appreciate that in the dramatic palette it is a matte shadow, and in the soft palette it is a cream matte shadow. So it's different formulas even though they are both black shades, but I want to go in with a little more depth. So I'm going to jump into the shade N1 right up here. You can see from W3 to N1 that it's just a bit deeper. I've got that on my rougher brush and I'm just gonna bring it under the lower lash line. I'm using a little bit at a time to make sure I don't go in too heavy-handed. So I'm just gonna blend like that and try not to poke myself in the eye. Now I wanna go into a little bit of Y1. Got this on another rougher brush, and I'm just gonna use this to blend and buff out that darker shade into my skin tone. This could definitely be an inner corner brightening shade if you do have a deeper skin tone. So I'm gonna go back, make sure all of that is working together. I really like doing shadow this way. I don't do it all the time. I like to mix things up, but a lot of times I will kind of start with like that deeper shade and then go in with my lighter shade rather than working from light to deep. This shade, C2, is described, I want to read it because I want to get this right. Sparkling foiled deep purple with multi-chrome sparkles. Multi-chrome sparkles. So it's not a multi-chrome, which Natasha Denona has done. It's got multi-chrome sparkles though. I think what that means is there's like different color sparkle reflex in this shadow, but it's not a multi-chrome, okay? So I'm gonna pick this up on my brush because we're doing dramatic, right? I'm putting this right on the center of our lid and bringing it in. I'm not gonna cover up our matte outer corner. I want this to fade into it. I think that's looking super pretty. I really like the way it's coming together. I did leave the inner part of my lid blank because I want to wrap a shade around the inner corner. Before I go on to that inner corner shade, I do want to jump over to R2. This is a metallic shade. I'm just gonna pull this under the lower lash line the same way I did with that satin shadow on the other eye, and I'm using the same brush that I used over there. This is one from my Sigma favorite set. So I'm just gonna buff that along. Let's go into Y2. This is gonna be our inner corner pop. So I'm gonna put that, oh yeah, right there. I'm gonna put that right there where I left that blank on my lid, just that very inner part, and then pull it to the inner corner, doing a sparkly inner corner like that. Oh, so cute. I like these colors. Yes, these are neutral. If you do not like neutral shadows, of course these are not for you, but I feel like I'm really into these looks. I love neutral, I love color, I don't discriminate when it comes to makeup. Honestly, I love playing with makeup. Good makeup, not bad makeup. As long as the neutrals are like this, I'm happy. And to even things up, I'm gonna go into the matte black shade that we have, C3, and I'm gonna do the same type of line that I have over on this eye. And this is a matte, not a cream matte. So to not get fallout or anything, I'm just going to work very, very lightly. And you can see like a little bit of difference. Like this one is matte, but of course the powder finish is gonna look more matte. Does that make sense? You get me. I am gonna throw on some mascara and we will do comparisons because I wanna show you these two new palettes next to some other from Natasha Denona. I'm really into both of my looks. Now, both palettes do have light shades and dark shades, so you can create contrast with both of these palettes. Honestly, one just has deeper shades, one just has lighter shades, but they both have a variety in them, you know, and I appreciate that. I personally love the dramatic one more, but I bought both and I'm not sad about my purchase. I want to show you these compared to some other palettes so that if you were debating these palettes, if you didn't know and you weren't sure, hopefully I can help you if you have Natasha Denona already. Looking at the I Need a Nude palette, it is way cooler in tone. I know whenever I say this is a cool tone palette, people will tell me, no, it's not a cool tone palette, and you have cool undertones. For me, this is a very cool tone palette, but it's very beautiful. It definitely doesn't have the variety of undertones that the two newer palettes do, but if you're looking for something that's neutral, cool leaning, this could definitely be a palette for you if you felt like maybe you didn't want those rosy shades or the yellow shades that you get in the newer palettes. Also wanted to talk about the I Need a Warm palette, and yes, that is the name, I Need a Warm palette, and this is a peach palette. I said in my video that this should have been called I Need a Peach because I do feel like the undertones all pull warm peach, and I think just instead of straight up warm, there are a lot of peachy shades. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Now, depending on your undertone, you could definitely look at some of Natasha's other palettes. I have videos on all of them, like Golden. I really love her formula. Now, when I saw these palettes posted online, the photos, the reveal, announcing them, I immediately thought of Biba, and I'm sure a lot of people thought of Biba because, like, look at it. You have light and dark, you have different undertones, you have different finishes. I love Biba so much. I will link a video that I have with this. I created a very simple look that I love, but of course you can create dramatic looks with this too. This is such a good Natasha Denona palette. Like, why am I swatching? I don't need to, like, but I will link this palette down below. It's such a good one, and it's much larger though than our newer palettes. I'm like, let me show you. See, it is much larger, and it's like 15 shades, so you get less shades, but these are bigger pans. So these pans don't work with our newer palettes. Just letting you know so that you could see side by side the pan size. We know that the Mini Eye Sculpt palette inspired these palettes, so I wanted to pull out some minis too. In case you want the essence of this, but you're like, I don't want that many shades. I want to compare this to the Mini Bronze palette. I love this Mini Bronze. You can definitely see that you could probably create similar looks with our newer palettes, but these are much more warm in tone. And then we have the Mini My Dream palette. This is another little mini from Natasha Denona that has some neutral, cool leaning undertones in this one. So if you're looking for something like that, this could be a great choice for you. We have the Mini Biba. So I showed you this compared to the full-size Biba palette, but the mini could be a great choice as well. And you definitely have a really pretty, like, peachy pink shade in here. Different tones, but really beautiful. Last but not least, I want to show you this next to I Need a Nude mini palette. So we have only 2 matte shades in here, but again, it is a mini, it's a 5-pan, and it could be a good option for you if you want a mini palette of these larger ones. Now, I'm definitely going to keep playing with this palette, testing it, trying it, having fun with it, and I will definitely include it in a palette ranking and a follow-up. I'm really enjoying it. I am happy with my purchase. I'm an eyeshadow lover. I am an eyeshadow collector. I love Natasha Denona. I mean, I'm wearing Natasha on my cheeks today too. Like, I love Natasha Denona, so I'm happy with my purchase. Do you need this? Only you know. I don't decide what you need. If you have tons of eyeshadow and you want to skip this one, totally support you in that. If you like these palettes like I do, if you enjoy them, I'm really happy with it. I don't like regret my purchase at all. And these are pricey palettes. Like I said, for $82. I know that Makeup by Mario has beautiful all matte palettes. I love those. I have videos on those. I will link some other videos here for you about eyeshadows that I really love, really enjoy eyeshadows. I would love it if you would stick around and subscribe. Let me know, did you buy these? Are you thinking about them on their wish list? Are you going to shop your stash? I would love to hear from you. Let's chat all things makeup down in the comments.